Thank you very much for joining us live on the program. A highly anticipated ruling is awaited today at the International Criminal Court ICC. Judges at the court are expected to give a ruling on former Ivory Coast President Laurent Gbagbo's request to be acquitted and released. Mr. Gbagbo has been in custody for more than 7 years for war crimes committed in the Ivory Coast during the December 2010 and 2011 post-election violence. ICC prosecutors presented several evidence that crimes occurred, but few witnesses could link the former leader directly. In Ivory Coast, where Gbagbo still has significant support, citizens will be paying a close eye on the situation, on the ruling today, that is, awaiting the outcome of the ruling. But what could an acquittal mean for the victims of the post-election violence that occurred in the country?
A few dozen victims of the 2011 post-election violence marched in the Ivorian capital Abidjan on Monday ahead of a ruling by the International Criminal Court on former President Laurent Gbagbo's request to be acquitted. They want the 73-year-old to remain in prison. Around 3,000 people were killed in a violent standoff in 2011 when Gbagbo refused to hand over power to his rival Alassane Ouattara. We are here to oppose any release of Laurent Gbagbo and Charles Blé because we believe that, based on a certain number of observations, these individuals, once released, will disappear. Let us not free Gbagbo, because if he is free, our justice will be in vain. There will be no justice for us there. So we would at least like for Gbagbo to be convicted and for the law to be upheld. Gbagbo and Charles Blé, a close ally and former political youth leader, have been on trial since 2016 for war crimes allegedly committed under Gbagbo's leadership. Judges at the International Criminal Court will rule on Tuesday on Gbagbo's application to be acquitted.
Well, Gbagbo's lawyers have accused the ICC prosecutors of inventing another reality to fit the charges and said security forces under Gbagbo had merely defended themselves against rebel attacks. But if the court supports assertions by Gbagbo's defense team that prosecutors have failed to present evidence supporting the charges, judges could order his release. And what could his release mean to Côte d'Ivoire's political situation?
Ivory Coast presidential election was postponed in 2005 over civil disagreements. 5 years later, the election was held as against the position of then-President Laurent Gbagbo. Current President Alassane Ouattara, candidate of the RHDP, a political alliance in Ivory Coast, was declared winner of the vote by the Independent Electoral Commission. The commission said he won by 51.10%. But the nation's constitutional court refused to validate the results, claiming its data showed that Laurent Gbagbo was the winner with 51.45% of the votes.
I, representing the people of Côte d'Ivoire, do not disrespect anyone because I do not want anyone to disrespect us.
The West African nation then fell into a post-electoral crisis leading to the killing of at least 3,000 people, according to United Nations. On April 11, 2011, after 8 months of violence, Alassane Ouattara was declared president, elected this time by the Constitutional Court, while Laurent Gbagbo was captured by pro-Ouattara forces and taken to the International Criminal Court after a stay in Korogo in the north. On November 30, 2011, the former Ivorian president arrived at Cheveningen prison Hague. He was being prosecuted for crimes against humanity and war crimes. At his first so-called confirmation of charges here on December 5 of the same year, Gbagbo claimed to have been dismissed from his post by the French. To date, Gbagbo remains the only African president to have stayed in the Cheveningen jails at The Hague.
Into French of the response of the process.
And with us now is a former ally of Mr. Gbagbo who served under his government as the ambassador to Israel, Raymond Kudu Kessi. A warm welcome to you and thank you very much for joining us on the program. So first off, Mr. Kudu, I'm aware that you intend to be present today during the hearing, during the ruling in The Hague for what surely must be an important day for you and your supporters.
This is a great day, I must confess, for Laurent Gbagbo supporters, but for the whole of Côte d'Ivoire, because an issue such as that of President Gbagbo concerns the whole of Côte d'Ivoire. And I think I'm not being biased myself by saying that this issue also concerns Africa, all Africans that we are. I'm therefore actually going to The Hague, and my objective is to follow the proceedings, but also to meet and discuss with all African patriots who are going there to witness the fate reserved for our illustrious African patriots held in prison in Europe. So my aim is simple: follow, listen, and why not enjoy? That's it.
But what exactly are your expectations today? How do you see the ruling panning out?
I remain very optimistic if I consider the other hearings concerning the release that had been held at least 10 times by Mr. Laurent Gbagbo's defense. They denied him his acquittal at least 10 times, and the judges did not need to schedule a special hearing to make their decision known. This time, not only was there a formal hearing conducted, but it took place without a denial being made. The decision to refuse is usually automatically known to everyone. But this time, they had to make contacts. All this, from my point of view, bodes very well. At least, as far as provisional freedom is concerned. I also believe that the two situations were not joined at random, namely the request for bail and the judge's possible decision on the request for acquittal. So I have a lot of hope. I'm very optimistic. But it is true that the history of the jurisdictions of the Laurent Gbagbo trial has taught us not to be blissfully optimistic. But under the current conditions, the optimism is even greater than previous times.
Some optimism, you say, and that will see exactly where that leads. But at this point, I'd like to thank you very much once again for sharing your thoughts with us this morning on Mr. Gbagbo's hearing, ruling which will take place later today in The Hague. Thank you very much. Former ambassador to Israel, former Ivorian ambassador to Israel, Raymond Kudu Kese, speaking to us there on Mr. Gbagbo's hearing later today.